The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. To lead people, follow them. If you are depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. Get rid of the desire to have. When I let go of what I am, I become what I might be. Soft and weak wins over hard and strong. True words are not pleasant. Pleasant words are not true. Live for the praise of others and you will become their prisoner. There is nothing softer and more flexible than water, but try to resist it. Watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. The wise man avoids all extremes. When people know a lot, it is difficult to manage them. Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Man dies from birth. Knowledge is the treasure, and practice is the key to it. Who knows doesn't say, who speaks doesn't know. He who is satisfied with his lot is rich. Whoever talks a lot often fails. Life is a series of natural and spontaneous changes. Don't resist them. That only creates sorrow. Let reality be reality. Let things flow naturally, forward in whatever way they like. Victory over others gives strength. Victory over oneself gives fearlessness. Do not seek, otherwise you will lose. Do not seek and you will find. A man dies easily because he has too much will to live. Time is a created thing. To say I don't have time is like saying, I don't want to. Fill your bowl to the brim and it will spill. Keep sharpening your knife and it will be blunt. The one who knows and pretends not to know is on top. Who, without knowledge, pretends to be knowledgeable, he is sick. Care about what other people think and you will always be their prisoner. Even a loss can turn into a profit, or a profit can turn into a loss. There is no crime greater than having too many desires. There is no disaster greater than not being content. There is no misfortune greater than being covetous. Be attentive to your thoughts. They are the beginning of actions. You can always rise above those who offended you by forgiving them. The truth is not always beautiful, nor are beautiful words the truth. You are controlled by the one who makes you angry. Be content with what you have. Rejoice in the way things are. When you realize there is nothing lacking, the whole world belongs to you. Never say never, because the days go by so fast and nothing stays the same. We gain by losing, lose by gaining. When I free myself from who I am, I become who I can be. Temperance is the first step of virtue. which is the beginning of moral perfection. The snow goose need not bathe to make itself white, neither need you do anything but be yourself. The wise man is one who knows what he does not know. If you lack faith, then existence does not believe in you. What the caterpillar calls the end, the rest of the world calls a butterfly. I'll have just 3 things to teach: simplicity, patience, compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage. New beginnings are disguised as painful endings. So the unwanting soul sees what's hidden, and the ever-wanting soul sees only what it wants. Be bent and you will stay straight. Be empty and you will remain complete. Be worn out and you will stay new. Health is the greatest possession. Contentment is the greatest treasure. Confidence is the greatest friend. The whole being knows without learning, sees without looking, and attains without dawning. Success is as dangerous as failure. Hope is as hollow as fear. People of higher morality do not consider themselves moral, therefore they have the highest morality. A sage who wants to be above people puts himself below them. Wanting to be ahead of them, he becomes behind. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you are alone for a long time, soon you will accept loneliness. You will never know your potential if you are afraid to be alone. Because one believes in oneself, one doesn't try to convince others. Because one is content with oneself, one doesn't need others' approval. Because one accepts oneself, the whole world accepts him or her. By remaining true to yourself without seeking to compare and compete, you will achieve universal respect. A man without what courage dares to die, a man with inner courage dares to live. A great man clings to the essential and leaves the insignificant. He does everything in truth, but he will never rely on laws. If you aren't afraid of dying, there is nothing you can't achieve. Whoever undertaking a business hurries to quickly achieve a result will do nothing. He who carefully finishes his work as he began will not fail. When true virtue is lost, good nature appears. When good nature is lost, justice appears. When justice is lost, decency appears. The rules of decency are only a semblance of truth and the beginning of all disorder. To recognize your insignificance is empowering. He who knows the measure is satisfied with his position. Sometimes you must yield in order to win, and sometimes maintaining a low place leads you to win. Confidence is the present tense of hope. It is not the path which is the difficulty. Rather, it is the difficulty which is the path. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. People demand freedom of speech as a compensation for the freedom of thought which they seldom use. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. People understand me so poorly that they don't even understand my complaints about them not understanding me. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a reality to be experienced. The most common form of despair is not being who you are. The most painful state of being is remembering the future, particularly the one you'll never have. What if everything in the world were a misunderstanding? What if laughter were really tears? Do it or don't do it, you will regret both. Knowledge is a wealth that cannot be stolen. Once you label me, you negate me. To dare to lose one's footing momentarily, not to dare, is to lose oneself. There are two ways to be fooled. One is to believe what isn't true. The other is to refuse to believe what is true. The tyrant dies and his rule is over. The martyr dies and his rule begins. It is better to try something and fail than to try nothing and succeed. The result may be the same, but you won't be. We always grow more through defeats than victories. Face the facts of being what you are, for that is what changes what you are. Many of us pursue pleasure with such breathless haste that we hurry past it. It is so hard to believe because it is so hard to obey. The door to happiness opens outward. Take a chance and you may lose. Take not a chance and you have lost already. Boredom is the root of all evil, the despairing refusal to be oneself. It is impossible to exist without passion. For without risk, there is no faith, and the greater the risk, the greater the faith. Man always hopes for what he should remember, and forever remembers what he should hope for. The self-assured believer is a greater sinner in the eyes of God than the troubled disbeliever. Leap of faith, yes, but only after reflection. The thing that cowardice fears most is decision. The unhappy person is never present to themselves because they always live in the past or the future. Wherever there is a crowd, there is untruth. Why bother remembering a past that cannot be made into a present? The question is not to be or not to be. It is what we should be until we are not. The truth is a trap. You cannot get it without it getting you. You cannot get the truth by capturing it, only by its capturing you. On the secretly blushing cheek is reflected the glow of the heart. Our life always expresses the result of our dominant thoughts. Happiness is the greatest hiding place for despair. My sorrow is my castle. Take away the paradox from the thinker, and you have a professor. A no does not hide anything, but a yes very easily becomes a deception. In order to help another effectively, you must understand what he understands. Instruction begins when you put yourself in his place so that you may understand what he understands and in the way he understands it. Once you are born, in this world you're old enough to die. Hope is a passion for the possible. Cultivate the will. This is the armor that preserves the mind. The function of prayer is not to influence God, but rather to change the nature of the one who prays. Therefore do not deceive yourself. Of all deceivers, fear most yourself. The more people who believe something, the more apt it is to be wrong. The person who's right often has to stand alone. If you want to be loathsome to God, just run with the herd. Only the noble of heart are called to difficulty. My standpoint on the neutrality. Their only intelligent, tactical response to life's horror is to laugh defiantly at it. To be lost in spiritlessness is the most terrible thing of all. What is youth? A dream. What is love? The dream's content. We were given the commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. But if this commandment is correctly understood, then you can read in it the opposite statement. You must love yourself properly. We pretend to be unable to understand life because we know very well that the minute we understand, we are obliged to act accordingly. Whoever has learned to be anxious in the right way has learned the ultimate. It is better to get lost in the passion than to lose the passion. The highest and most beautiful things in life are not to be heard about, nor read about, nor seen, but, if one will, are to be lived. I would rather be a swineherd, understood by the swine, than a poet misunderstood by men. Life has its own hidden forces which you can only discover by living. Truth always rests with the minority, and the minority is always stronger than the majority, because the minority is generally formed by those who really have an opinion, while the strength of a majority is illusory. Far from idleness being the root of all evil, it is rather the only true good. People settle for a level of despair they can tolerate and call it happiness. To be a woman is something so strange, so confusing and so complicated that only a woman could put up with it. Sleeping is the height of genius. Our life is a game whose rules we don't know. For it is not what happens to me that makes me great, but it is what I do. Faith is the highest passion in a man. You become what you understand. Life has become a bitter drink to me, and yet it must be taken in drops, counted one by one. Be that self that one is. Faith begins precisely where thinking leaves off. I opened my eyes and saw the real world, and I began to laugh, and I haven't stopped since. Learn not to tell anything to anyone, because only then your life will definitely get better. What distinguishes all love from lust is the fact that it bears an impression of eternity. The best response to criticism is to smile and forget. The highest, after all, is not to comprehend the highest, but to do it. If you don't have many friends, that means you have a lot of life experience. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. The more silent you are, the more you are able to hear. To be human is not a fact, but a task. Life did not intend to make us perfect. Whoever is perfect belongs in a modesty and conscientiousness receive their reward only in novels. In life, they are exploited and then shoved aside. To forget is the secret of eternal youth. One grows old only through memory. There's much too little forgetting. He who wants to hold on to that is losing. Those who are ready to let go with a smile are trying to keep him. The more primitive a man is, the better he believes himself to be. The first person you think of in the morning and the last person you think of at night is either the cause of your happiness or the cause of your pain. Not always sorry for the one who is wrong, asking forgiveness of the one who values the relations. I feel like I am among people who are going to live forever. At least that is how they act. They are so obsessed with money that they have forgotten about life. Anything you can settle with money is cheap. The best way to lose a woman was to show her a kind of life that one could offer her for only a few days. You may turn into an archangel, a fool, or a criminal. No one will see it. But when a button is missing, everyone sees that. Never do anything complicated when something simple will serve as well. It's one of the most important secrets of living. A man only begins to be valued when he is no longer there. It is better to die when I want to live than to live before you want to die. What you can't get always seems better than what you have. This includes the romance and idiocy of human life. If a woman belongs to another man, she's 5 times more desirable than the one you can easily get. Strange how complicated we can make things just to avoid showing what we feel. Whatever happens to you, never take it personally. Nothing in this world is so important. I stood next to her, listened to her, laughed and thought how terrible it is to love a woman and be poor. Only if you finally part with a person, you begin to be truly interested in everything that concerns him. This is one of the paradoxes of love. It is a mistake to assume that all people have the same ability to feel. A man is always great in his intentions, however, not in their fulfillment. Therein lies his fascination. There is nothing more tiring than to attend how a person demonstrates his mind. In particular, if there is no mind. A person can become close to you in 3 days, and the one who lives near you for years may never know what your favorite color is. Women do not need to explain anything. You always have to act with them. A woman should not tell a man that she loves him. Let her shining, happy eyes speak about this. They are more eloquent than any words. Only a complete idiot would argue with a woman and appeal to her logic. A lonely person cannot be abandoned. Being in love is when you want to get old with someone. It's only terrible to have nothing to wait for. It is very queer that the unhappiness of the world is so often brought on by small men. We are forlorn like children, and experienced like old men. We are crude and sorrowful, and superficial, we are lost. Keep things at arm's length. If you let anything come too near, you want to hold on to it. And there is nothing a man can hold on to. Life is a disease, and death begins already at birth. Every breath, every heartbeat, is a moment of dying a little shoved toward the end. We have so much to say, and we shall never say it. Bombardment, barrage, curtain fire, mines, gas, tanks, machine guns, hand grenades, words, but they hold the horror of the world. It was a melancholy secret that reality can arouse desires but never satisfy them. At school, nobody ever taught us how to light a cigarette in a storm of rain, nor how fire could be made with wet wood, nor that it is best to stick a bayonet in the belly because there it doesn't get jammed, as it does in the ribs. If a woman saves money on herself, it means that it makes men want to save money on her. Our knowledge of life is limited to death. Everyone saves someone at least once, just as he kills someone at least once, even though he may not know it. If a woman is angry, it means she is not only wrong, but also she knows it. No soldier outlives 1,000 chances, but every soldier believes in chance and trusts his luck. A woman becomes smarter when she is in love, whereas a man loses his mind. What comfort there is in the skin of someone you love. Good or ill, life is life. You only realize that when you have to risk it. Who has many women knows women. Who has one wife knows love. A friend standing behind is worse than an enemy standing in front. If a man is not married at 30, it means that he has not been forced to get married yet. Men don't get married because they want to get married, but because women want to get married. The things men did or felt they had to do. Love should not be polluted with friendship. No one could become stranger than the person you once loved. Human beings are a much worse poison than schnapps or tobacco. The most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Never argue with stupid people. They will drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. The truth must be served like a coat and not thrown in the face like a wet towel. Let us live so that, when we come to die, even the undertaker will be sorry. Everyone is a moon, and has a dark side which he never shows to anybody. Only two things we'll regret on deathbed, that we are a little loved and little traveled. Keep away from people who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that. But the really great make you feel that you, too, can become great. Man will do many things to get himself love. He will do all things to get himself envied. Wrinkles should merely indicate where the smiles have been. If you pick up a starving dog and make him prosperous, he will not bite you. This is the principal difference between a dog and man. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. Kindness is a language which the deaf can hear and the blind can see. All you need in this life is ignorance and confidence, then success is sure. The man who does not read has no advantage over the man who cannot read. Forgiveness is the fragrance that the violet sheds on the heel that has crushed it. A banker is a fellow who lends you his umbrella when the sun is shining, But once it back the minute, it begins to rain. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. To get the full value of joy, you must have someone to divide it with. Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured. The human race has only one really effective weapon, and that is laughter. When I was a boy of 14, my father was so ignorant I could hardly stand to have the old man around. But when I got to be 21, I was astonished at how much the old man had learned in 7 years. Eat a live frog first thing in the morning and nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. Never argue with a fool. Onlookers may not be able to tell the difference. When I was younger, I could remember anything, whether it had happened or not. But my faculties are decaying now, and soon I shall be so I cannot remember any but the things that never happened. It is sad to go to pieces like this, but we all have to do it. Noise proves nothing. Often a hen who has laid an egg cackles as if she had laid an asteroid. Do something every day that you don't want to do. This is the golden rule for acquiring the habit of doing your duty without pain. Honesty, the best of all the lost arts. Be careful about reading health books. You may die of a misprint. Loyalty to country always. Loyalty to government when it deserves it. Buy land, they're not making it anymore. A person with a new idea is a crank until the idea succeeds. The lack of money is the root of all evil. Giving up smoking is the easiest thing in the world. I know because I've done it thousands of times. When your friends begin to flatter you on how young you look, it's a sure sign that you're getting old. Only when the last tree has been cut down, the last fish being caught, and the last stream poisoned, will we realize we cannot eat money. There are two wolves fighting inside all of us. The first onays evil, the second one is good. Which wolf will win? The one you feed. When you were born, you cried in the world rejoice. Live your life so that when you die, the world cries and you rejoice. It is better to have less thunder in the mouth and more lightning in the hand. Listen, or your tongue will make you deaf. Seek wisdom, not knowledge. Knowledge is of the past. Wisdom is of the future. The weakness of the enemy makes our strength. Do not judge your neighbor until you walk 2 moons in his moccasins. They are not dead who live in the hearts they leave behind. There is nothing as eloquent as a rattlesnake's tail. It is less of a problem to be poor than to be dishonest. A brave man dies but once, a coward many times. Make my enemy brave and strong, so that if defeated, I will not be ashamed. The bird who has eaten cannot fly with the bird that is hungry. Cherish youth, but rust old age. Wisdom comes only when you stop looking for it and start living the life the Creator intended for you. Not every sweet fruit gives birth to sweet grass. Take only what you need and leave the land as you found it. It is no longer good enough to cry peace. We must act peace, live peace, and live in peace. When a man moves away from nature, his heart becomes hard. Beware of the man who does not talk and the dog that does not bark. Our pleasures are shallow, our sorrows are deep. Don't let yesterday use up too much of today. If a man is as wise as a serpent, he can afford to be as harmless as a dove. Poverty is a noose that strangles humility and breeds disrespect for God and man. Remember that your children are not your own, but are lent to you by the Creator. Walk lightly in the spring. Mother Earth is pregnant. Ask questions from your heart and you will be answered from the heart. There is no death, only a change of worlds. What is life? It is a flash of firefly in the night. It is a breath of a buffalo in the wintertime. It is as the little shadow that runs across the grass and loses itself in the sunset. Leave nothing for tomorrow which can be done today. Nearly all men can stand adversity, but if you want to test a man's character, give him power. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree, and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. The best way to predict your future is to create it. Better to remain silent and be thought of for than to speak out and remove all doubt. No man is good enough to govern another man without the other's consent. That some achieve great success is proof to all that others can achieve it as well. I would rather be a little nobody than to be an evil somebody. No man has a good enough memory to be a successful liar. Those who look for the bad in people will surely find it. America will never be destroyed from the outside. If we falter and lose our freedoms, it will be because we destroyed ourselves. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to success is more important than any other thing. In the end, it is not the years in your life that count. It's the life in your years. I don't like that man. I must get to know him better. Things may come to those who wait, but only the things left by those who hustle. Whenever I hear anyone arguing for slavery, I feel a strong impulse to see it tried on him personally. You can fool some of the people all of the time, and all of the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all of the people all of the time. We can complain because rose bushes have thorns, or rejoice because thorn bushes have roses. If I am killed, I can die but once, but to live in constant dread of it is to die over and over again. In this sad world of ours, sorrow comes to all, and to the young it comes with bitterest agony, because it takes them unawares. The older have learned to ever expect it. Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends? I am a slow walker, but I never walk back. When you feel discouraged, seek healing in labor. If you get married, they think you're finished, and if you are without a woman, they think you're incomplete. If you have the ability to love, love yourself first. The 9 to 5 is one of the greatest atrocities sprung upon mankind. You give your life away to a function that doesn't interest you. Your ambition is handicapped by laziness. We are here to laugh at the odds and live our lives so well that death will tremble to take us. Genius might be the ability to say a profound thing in a simple way. There are only 2 things wrong with money: too much or too little. We don't even ask for happiness, just a little less pain. Love is all right for those who can handle the psychic overload. It's like trying to carry a full garbage can on your back over a rushing river of piss. Almost everybody is born a genius and buried an idiot. People are strange. They are constantly angered by trivial things. But on a major matter like totally wasting their lives, they hardly seem to notice. Of course it's possible to love a human being if you don't know them too well. Real loneliness is not necessarily limited to when you are alone. There is always one woman to save you from another, and as that woman saves you, she makes ready to destroy. Nothing is worse than to finish a good shit, then reach over and find the toilet paper container empty. Even the most horrible human being on earth deserves to wipe his ass. Bad taste creates many more millionaires than good taste. People run from rain but sit in bathtubs full of water. The only time most people think about injustice is when it happens to them. Dogs and angels are not very far apart. A love is like a serious illness, an illness from which you never entirely recover. Find what you love and let it kill you. What matters most is how well you walk through the fire. There is loneliness in this world so great that you see it in the slow movement of a clock's hand. If you're going to try, go all the way, otherwise, don't even start. I have always liked visiting women myself more than when they are visiting me. You can always get away from them. The shortest distance between 2 points is often unbearable. We must bring our own light to the darkness. You are not promised anything in life. No contract was signed with you. The less you need, the better you feel. There are worse things than being alone, but it often takes decades to realize this, and most often when you do it's too late, and there's nothing worse than too late. Ambition rarely helps talent. Another thing is luck. Talent always trails behind her. If you're losing your soul and you know it, then you've still got a soul left to lose. The difference between a democracy and a dictatorship is that in a democracy you vote first and take orders later. In a dictatorship you don't have to waste your time voting. Some people never go crazy. What truly horrible lives they must lead. As humans, we adjust to new conditions and discoveries. We are pliable. There are times when those eyes inside your brain stare back at you. How can you trust a creature that bleeds every month and doesn't die? Of course it's possible to love a human being if you don't know them too well. You begin saving the world by saving one man at a time. All else is grandiose romanticism or politics. Some moments are nice, some are nicer, some are even worth writing about. We are like roses that have never bothered to bloom when we should have bloomed, and it is as if the sun has become disgusted with waiting. You have to die a few times before you can really live. Nobody can save you but yourself, and you're worth saving. It's a war not easily won, but if anything is worth winning, then this is it. Life's as kind as you let it be. The free soul is rare, but you know it when you see it, basically, because you feel good, very good, when you are near or with them. Sex is a great thing only when there is nothing else to do. If you manage to deceive a person, this does not mean that he is a fool. It means that you were trusted more than you deserve it. Beauty is nothing. Beauty won't stay. You don't know how lucky you are to be ugly. Because if people like you, you know it's for something else. Too often the people complain that they have done nothing with their lives, and then they wait for somebody to tell them that this isn't so. Great heart is horseshit. Buy tacos. I'll often carry things to read so that I will not have to look at the people. The woman who smiles at you when you meet her is most likely just planning to feed her ego. For those who believe in God, most of the big questions are answered. But for those of us who can't readily accept the God formula, the big answers don't remain stone-written. Some people like what you do. Some people hate what you do. But most people simply don't give a damn. Never say three things about yourself: your plans, your income, and the number of people you've slept with. As long as a man has wine and cigarettes, he can endure a lot. And why do women always need the husbands of other women? And why do horse thieves always prefer a tamed horse to a wild one? Love is a form of prejudice. You love what you need. You love what makes you feel good. You love what is convenient. Drinking is an emotional thing. It juggles you out of the standardism of everyday life, out of everything being the same. Men who always masturbate always end up with a strong sense of self-awareness and a deep understanding of their own desires and boundaries. If you've reached this point, comment 100% to confirm you've absorbed this knowledge. For more intriguing topics, subscribe and turn on notification bell. Check out the recommended video on the screen now. Thanks for watching.